In my day job as a lawyer, we see lots of people go for funding before they've actually documented who owns the stock in the company and before they've documented who owns the intellectual property. And there are intellectual property transfer agreements that have to be signed by the founders and by anyone who touched or worked on the intellectual property of the company. Those agreements transfer all rights to the IP or intellectual property, like lines of code, to the company from the individuals. That's really necessary. And your first round investors might not focus on it, they might not diligence it. But in your second or third round, when institutional investors come in and do real diligence, they will kick the tires and ask for that. And if you don't have it, it's much harder 2 years, 3 years, 18 months later to get that as people have moved on or relationships have changed. So documenting the intellectual property and documenting who owns how much, I think those things are super important. And so is founder vesting. So understanding what happens when a founder leaves and making sure that the relationship is a dynamic one, because you don't know who will 6 months later not be working at the company or 18 months later not be working in the company. And that can be a source of problems. I mentioned that as a lawyer, but as an angel investor and also as someone who's invested in lots of venture funds, we definitely see investors focus on those issues. They might not want to wordsmith the actual documents, but if they're investing in a company that doesn't own all of its intellectual property, or if they're investing in a company that can't tell you who owns what equity in the company, they are very concerned about that. So there are real important ramifications.